Howdy, friend. Spitz here, and this is Feed Bandit, the Texas First Outdoors podcast. If you have ever been driving down a lonely county road during the late winter or the early spring months, you might have looked out over the flat horizon and seen a giant rolling pillar of thick black smoke rising straight up into the big Texas sky. Your very first instinct might have been to think that a terrible disaster was happening, or that a beautiful family ranch was burning down to the ground. But if you pulled over your truck, rolled down your window, and took a deep breath, you might have noticed a group of people wearing bright yellow jackets standing right along the fence line, calmly watching the flames eat through the yellow grass with shiny metal drip torches in their hands. What you were actually witnessing out there in the pasture wasn't a disaster at all. It was one of the most powerful, beautiful, and important tools ever used by man to heal the earth and bring life back to our native woods and prairies. I am talking about prescribed burns, or what a lot of old-timers simply call managed fire. For thousands and thousands of years, long before there were highways, towns, or wire fences stretched across the dirt, fire was a natural part of our home state. It would sweep across the plains, cleaning out the dead brush and waking up the wild seeds hidden deep in the dark soil. Today, we are going to dive deep into the fascinating world of prescribed burning and habitat management. We will talk about why our native wildlife needs the heat of the flame, how a black and smoky pasture turns into a beautiful green salad bowl for deer and quail in just a matter of weeks, and the exact technical tips, safety rules, and weather boundaries required to manage a fire safely on your own piece of Texas paradise. So, pull up a chair. We have a lot of ground to cover. To truly understand why fire is so good for our native wildlife, you have to look closely at what happens to a pasture when it goes too long without a burn. When the wild grass grows summer after summer without any disturbance, it eventually dies and falls over, creating a thick, matted carpet of gray straw on top of the black soil. We call this heavy layer of dead plant material the duff. When the duff gets too deep, it acts like a heavy, suffocating blanket that blocks the warm sunlight from ever touching the ground. This means that the beautiful native weeds, wildflowers, and young bushes can never sprout or see the sun. Even worse, tiny animals like a baby bobwhite quail chick, which is no bigger than a bumblebee when it first hatches from its egg, cannot walk through that thick matted straw. To a tiny quail chick, that gray grass looks like a giant, impassable wall of logs. They get trapped in the thick tangle. They cannot find bugs to eat, and they become very easy targets for hungry hawks and coyotes. When the cedar trees and invasive brush take over a pasture, they choke out the light and consume all the underground water, turning a healthy prairie into a dark, silent desert where nothing can live. But when you put a managed fire across that pasture, everything changes in a flash. The flames consume the dead duff, burning it down into a rich black ash that is packed with natural nutrients like nitrogen and carbon. It is like throwing a giant blanket of natural fertilizer across the entire ranch. The very next time a warm rain hits that black ground, the soil wakes up. The sunlight can finally warm the dark earth, and within days, millions of native plants begin to sprout. We call these plants forbs, which is just a fancy word for wild weeds like ragweed, croton, and wild sunflower. To a white-tailed deer or a wild turkey, these new green sprouts are pure candy. They are packed with high protein that helps bucks grow giant antlers and helps mother deer grow healthy milk for their fawns. The fire resets the clock, turning an old, choked pasture into a fresh, vibrant nursery full of food and safety for every creature. Let's look at the technical tips, safety boundaries, and planning strategies required to execute a successful prescribed burn on Texas rangelands. My first big tip for you is to understand that a great burn begins months before you ever strike a match, and it starts with building ultimate fire breaks. A fire break or a smoke line is a wide lane around the entire perimeter of your burn area where there is absolutely nothing that can catch fire. You want to use a heavy tractor with a disc or a bulldozer to scrape the ground completely bare until you see nothing but pure, clean red dirt. A good rule of thumb is to make your fire break at least twice as wide as the tallest brush or grass standing next to it. If you are burning a field with 6-foot tall grass, your bare dirt line needs to be at least 12 to 15 feet wide. This ensures that when the flames hit the edge of your property, they run out of fuel instantly and die on the bare dirt without ever crossing onto your neighbor's land. My second tip is to master the absolute law of the weather metrics, which we call the rule of 60-40. You can never burn on a whim. You must study the wind and humidity charts with ultimate care. Veteran Texas land managers look for a perfect day when the temperature is below 60 degrees. The wind speed is steady between 5 and 15 miles per hour from a safe direction, and the relative humidity is between 40 and 60%. If the humidity drops below 30%, the air is too dry, and the fire will become angry, fast, and dangerous to control. If the wind is completely dead, the smoke will just sit on the ground and blind your crew. But if the wind is spinning in circles, it can throw sparks across your fire break. You want a steady, predictable breeze that pushes the smoke away from any public highways or houses. My third tip is to always use the strategy of a backfire to secure your perimeter before you set the main blaze. When folks see a fire in a movie, they imagine lighting the wind side and letting it race across the field. That is called a head fire, and it is incredibly fast and hot. If you light a head fire first, it can easily jump your lines. Instead, you want to start your fire on the downwind side of the pasture, right against your bare dirt line. Because the wind is blowing against the flames, the fire will move very slowly into the wind, burning a wide, clean strip of black ground behind it. This is called a backfire. Once you have burned a wide, safe buffer zone of 50 or 100 feet of black dirt on the downwind side, you can safely move to the upwind side and light your head fire. When the fast head fire races across the field, it will eventually hit that wide strip of cold black ground you already created, and it will immediately go out because it has no more fuel left to eat. It is using fire to fight fire, and it is the safest way to manage a big blaze. My fourth tip is to secure all the proper legal notifications and smoke management permits before the big day. In Texas, you must contact your local sheriff's department, the county game warden, and the local volunteer fire department to let them know exactly what hours you will be burning. If you don't call them, a well-meaning neighbor will see the column of smoke from the highway and dial emergency services. You will end up with 4 big red fire trucks racing down your ranch road, disrupting their day and causing a lot of unnecessary panic. My fifth tip is to equip your burn crew with the right gear and plenty of water resources. Every person on your team should wear heavy, non-synthetic clothing like 100% pure cotton denim or leather, as polyester and nylon clothes will melt right to your skin if they get near a hot ember. Wear sturdy leather boots, heavy gloves, and safety glasses to protect your eyes from flying ash. Keep a heavy-duty water trailer or a spray rig pulled by a tractor right along the line, packed with hundreds of gallons of water and a high-pressure pump to immediately douse any tiny sparks that drift across the dirt break. My sixth tip is to execute your habitat management in small, separate patches over several years, which we call mosaic burning. You never want to burn your entire ranch all at once. If you turn every single acre into a black field of ash, the wildlife will have nowhere to hide from predators while the new grass grows back. Instead, burn 1/3 of your pastures this winter, another third the next year, and the final third the year after that. This creates a beautiful checkerboard pattern across the land, leaving plenty of thick, mature brush where the deer and quail can sleep safely, right next to the fresh black fields where they can go to find high-protein food. Managing the land with prescribed fire is one of the oldest, most holy, and most rewarding traditions in the Texas outdoors because it requires a deep, humble understanding of the natural laws of our world. Long before humans ever inhabited this continent, the lightning storms of the summer months would ignite the dry prairies, and the land would heal itself through the natural cycle of fire and rain. When we step into the field with a drip torch today, we are not trying to conquer nature. We are working alongside it as proud stewards of the soil. Preserving the tradition means looking past the immediate future and understanding that the health of our deer herds, our turkey flocks, and our wild quail depends completely on the work we do during the off-season. It takes a lot of grit, courage, and careful preparation to manage a live fire. But when you look out over a pasture a month later and see millions of bright green sprouts lifting up through the black ash, you realize that you have participated in a small miracle of creation. Protecting the legacy means passing down this deep ecological knowledge to our children, showing them that being an outdoorsman means much more than just pulling a trigger. It means picking up the tools to build a better, wilder home for the creatures that share our state. It builds a spirit of patience, responsibility, and ultimate pride in the independent Texian heritage. Protect the soil and manage your wild country with honor. So what do you think of that? Are we right on target, or did we totally miss the boat on that one? Email us at howdy@feedbandit.com and let us know either way. And don't forget to check us out at feedbandit.com and grab some gear to show off your Texas First Outdoors pride. Preserve the tradition, protect the legacy, and remember, always support your local feed store. If you're there for them, they'll be there for you when you need them the most out in the field. Stand tall, fellow Texian. We'll talk soon.